Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Harakakadash. Double honor to the elder apostles, a great millstone that rule well. And Shalom is what the brothers that doing like sincerity and truth, the hopeful elect. Um, so you had these farmer protests go down today in London, and it's kind of just meditating on it. It's funny because with the law change, it comes in I think 2026, not even 2025. Yeah, 2026. Um, this I think is something that will increase the kind of like inequality, gap between the rich and poor. That kind of mindset over here. It's roiling up that because with the farmers, especially it's like in this article they kind of go into it. They're these guys are like the people impacted by this change have to have like I think a million plus in assets uh to then be hit with the inheritance tax. So they're kind of pressuring it like they're entitled, but in reality, it's that inheritance tax is a madness, man. You're gonna be paying tax on the money anyway. You can say you could put the money in savings. You're gonna be paying tax on the increase in savings or whatever. Like, it's being taxed to blood clot every step of the way. But then you're meant to, afterwards, you drop dead, and then like you is there, and then the government just comes and let me take another chunk out of that. But that's these are the systems that Esau's established. That's kind of why people feel like, oh, pay your taxes. Uh, yeah, you have some of them people where they'll say like taxation is theft, but most people in the system are just like, oh no, you need taxes, blah blah blah. But that's Esau going above and beyond, man, because you'll be taxed on everything, taxed up the wazoo on everything you do, man. You drive into the city in London, you're paying ULEZ, you're paying congestion charge. You like what the fuck is going on? It's a madness, but that's become straight. That's become the norm. As on the news, it says UK farmers protest in London over inheritance tax change. It says thousands of farmers gathered in central London on Tuesday in the biggest show of opposition to a policy announced by Britain's centre-left Labour government since it won power in July. Angry inheritance taxation changes outlined in last month's budget by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. Protesters carried placards reading "No farmers, no food," while a procession of tractors drove past Parliament, voicing a broader sense of grievance among some of those who live in the countryside who accuse successive governments of betraying their interest. The change under Miss Reeves' plan applies to people who inherit agricultural assets worth more than £1 million, about 1.3 million. They were previously exempt, but will have to pay up it at 20%, half the standard rate from April 2026. So yeah, the way they present the article is like, yeah, so they've got assets over 1 million and blah. But then in reality, it's like they're getting half the rate. It's like you guys should be thinking about why the fuck you're paying inheritance tax. But these incidents as they happen, they're kind of used more towards that chaos because it makes sense to fucking actually want people producing food. Uh, you know, to motivate people to do that because in any kind of circumstance where food difficulties come about, you need people making it locally. But as part of Esau's globalization and having everything basically put to industrialization, where everything gets put on a huge scale so it can become as cheap as possible to do, to make as much money as possible, rather than keeping things local and basically, in each little pocket of like a village or town or whatever, you'll have people serving different roles, like someone making food, a tailor, uh, you'd have blacksmith, tailor, whatever, and then they would, serve the role of providing those goods to the people around there, where it would be like, okay, they've got a community to provide for, and then they're each independently applying things, and then it's everyone can survive. But Esau's got everything on a scale to where the guy who's in charge can make good money when he's doing it at a huge colossal scale, but it makes anyone doing it at a smaller level unable to survive. Middle level, you might just kind of get by, and then it loses that local provider. Then you get what they called like transportation networks and whatnot to bring all these things together, and all those things, the guys in charge, it's the people doing very wealthy elite in charge of these things, and then they get to monetize and have that whole global economy going, where they're able to make humongous amounts of money. But then the smaller guys are getting trampled, and that's just how Esau's system has been set up, and it's really from like 1960, 97, 70 onwards. It's kind of intensified more and more, where it's just like different parts of the world just be like, okay, you produce this for us at a dirt cheap rate. And that's really why that whole American dream's dead, man. Because production has been sent elsewhere where it's cheaper. And then that just hurts the overall health of the economy of everyone there. And and now all these things have weighed on further and further, to where it's like Babylon's, feeling that strain. Everyone out here in Babylon's feeling the squeeze. So it says the tax would be payable in installments over 10 years of interest, over 10 years interest free, and would still exclude many estates worth less than 3 million because of various allowances included for married couples. Government figures suggest that 73% of farms would be unaffected. And really, with that being said, that just makes you think like, oh, what do you call it? Like, so why are these guys even complaining? Most of them ain't gonna. But then it's through the process of time. This is inheritance tax. So then it one means that like you're probably gonna think, oh, I'm gonna have to keep the scope of your farm like to a certain level, so you don't go over that threshold. And as well, it's something that can be expanded upon further, just like it's being done now. So you might think now it's fine, in 10, 15 years down the line, then actually, it goes down to, oh, the opposite, where it's like only 20%, 5%. But then these are the things that's like, uh, because of how, and part of it is the disruption, because people get disrupted from their daily lives. They're thinking, fuck, what the fuck do I care about what these guys are doing? They fuck me up from getting to work or whatever the hell. But then the reality of it is they don't realize this is another factor of why this place is on its way out, man. Because but the critics say that the end of the exemption will lead to some families having to sell farms rather than passing them on. Let me skip down, because there's one other point. So it says what less diplomatic was a television personality, Jeremy Clarkson, who's made a series of shows about his life on his farm in Oxfordshire. In an opinion article in the tabloid newspaper The Sun, he bizarrely suggested that the government wanted to ethnically cleanse the countryside of farmers, which, well, I don't know about if it's an ethnicity, but yeah, the smaller farms are being, squeezed to the point where they'll either sell the farmland, which, a lot of them will do. They'll sell the land, they'll sell the farm or whatever. And then it'll be like with, what happened during the pandemic where you had Bill Gates buy up all the land. It's like you put it on that mass scale and then, it gets utilized on that massive scale to where it just slots into the rest of the it slots into the rest of these big banks, these big farm production lines anyway. Gets monetized on a much higher scale, just like, the rest of everything else. Would say of farmers writing, I'm becoming more and more convinced that Starmer and Reeves have a sinister plan. They want to carpet bomb our farmland with new towns for immigrants and net zero wind farms. Which ain't no one give a fuck about no immigrants. Getting put up. And the thing is anyway is them immigrants are getting boring anyway and have been and will continue to be because your government don't give a fuck. That's part of how, the people at the top accumulate more wealth and power to themselves is bringing in those migrants, Critics say that Mr. Clarkson is an example of how the exemption has incentivized some wealthy individuals to buy farmland in recent years, driving up land prices. In 2021, he told the Times of London in an interview that the main reason he purchased his land from a local farmer who had to sell up after the 2008 financial crisis was because it was exempt from inheritance tax. That's the critical thing, he said. So yes, it's the reason they're going to him as an example is to kind of be like, well, look, these these farmers that are complaining, it's just money to them. They're just doing it for the inheritance that they're trying to save money. They're trying to pigeonhole money so it can't get taxed. But then again, it's like, inheritance tax is a madness. It's wicked as fuck anyway. It makes no sense whatsoever. But they established it, and from when it's been established, then they can just keep it running. You can grab people up and throw them in jail if they don't pay. Imagine, it's funny as hell. But that's how these things are, man. So I read this. I read it before. Jeremiah 51:7, it says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord Jehovah's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, so be she may be healed. And yeah, Babylon the Great America has basically had, that falling off. It had its so-called golden age, it had its rise, had its time of prominence, and now it's in decline. And that's something that's observable. It's become a talking point, a common understanding that's why you even have, Make America Great Again. Because it's no longer in, that so-called great state. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. And yeah, we would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. It can't be healed. It can't be, brought back to that prior state of greatness, of glory. Because why? It's something that was built up for an express purpose. And part of that, is it declining? Is it being destroyed? Is it seeing its end? And the kingdom of heaven rising up, after it. These, and that's why it's all these issues are coming up, and it seems, once one issue's, gaining prominence, then another one jumps on top, and another one, and another one, and that's how this, kingdom's been running. It's just, where's the peace? Where's the glory? Where's the everything else that people have expected? But it's now become evident that shit's done, man. It's toast. Revelation 18:9, it says what? And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning. And yeah, this is dealing with, America being destroyed. All these different nations, that, they've basically joined hand in hand with America. They're abiding by America's system to, build themselves off the back of it. They're all gonna wail and lament. And why? It says, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Yeah, and the making of money, man, making of merchandise. That's the big draw. That's been, the big appeal, of Babylon the Great, but even the mother of Babylon over here. It's one of the financial capitals of the world, London. People expect to come here and have it, gain a certain level of prominence, affluence, that they believe, stems from here. Same for America. They think they can go there, they can make it rich. In like one generation, they'll go from being a nobody to being a millionaire. This is what a lot of people are, enamored by. That's what they're drawn into. But then what does it say? And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. And yeah, that same, method and means by which they could get rich, or they could live a luxurious lifestyle and enjoy all the dainties and goodies of the West, that's all gonna go. And that's really what these men are, driving their tractors around, complaining about, is because that was a promise of the system, man. It's, the American dream, but in general, that's a big draw, a big appeal of why people come to these Western countries. They think here's where there's prominence, life and money. Then even for people that are locals, they're seeing like different nations coming over, setting themselves up, establishing themselves, building money. Then, they're just a bum. They're nobody. They're fucking pikey. And that's they're getting upset. They're getting hurt. Their feelings are getting hurt, man. So that's why these, they're rebelling to it, to a certain extent. But then these, as I said, this kind of feels like it's pitting, because they're saying like, oh, it's, a million. If you gotta have 1 million in assets or whatever, to even be affected by it. People thinking like, yo, you guys got 1 million assets, you're making money, whatever. You got land, you got this. At least you can fucking sell it. And I'm fucking out here struggling to pay my fucking, heat and water bill, man. Like, what the fuck? So that's kind of like the dynamic that looks like it's being focused on. But, we'll see what comes out of it, because people have been, railing against Labour, which shouldn't really be a surprise. But even then, we'll see what more laws and policy gets passed. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shai, Shalom.